All right, we'll go ahead and get started. Thank you all for joining. My name is Matt Craven. I am the Director of Outreach here in the College of Health and Human Performance. We're super excited to have you guys here tonight to kind of talk about our School of Social Work and the degree that you can and careers you can get with this degree program. Here on the call tonight, we have Dr. Abby Schwartz, who is the program coordinator for the Bachelor of Social Work program. And then we also have Miss Watterson, who is our academic advisor for the social work program. So she kind of ensures that you're registering for classes, making sure you're going to graduate on time, whatever it may be. Here shortly, I am going to have a current social work student join us. She is on her way from work, and so she's super excited to talk to you all as well. Throughout the night, you are more than welcome to unmute yourself and ask questions. It's a pretty laid back, setting and environment. Or if you feel more comfortable, you can put them in the chat. We can address questions throughout, or we can answer them all at the end. But yeah, so if we don't have any questions to start with, I'm going to go ahead and turn it over to Dr. Schwartz, so she can kind of go ahead and go through the PowerPoint.
Great. Thank you so much, Mac. Yeah, like Mac said, as we go through, you don't have to hold your questions to the end. Please feel free to unmute yourselves. Please feel free to put on your video if you want. Not mandatory, but if that's, you don't have to keep yourself unvideoed or your video off. So whatever you're comfortable with. So thank you for being here and for your interest in the BSW program. We're going to go through a little bit of information for you. So first of all, what is social work? So in social work, we serve everybody, everywhere, right? So we work with individuals, families, organizations, communities in all different kinds of settings. Oftentimes people think of social workers as providing counseling services, being mental health providers, or providing case management, which is completely true. But there are other things that you could do as a social worker as well, which I'll get into in a different slide. You could see in the bullet as well, there are things such as advocates, community organizers, policymakers. Regardless of what you choose to do in social work, the bottom line is that your focus and a key value is social change and social justice. So if this is something that you connect with, then you're in the right place. So skills to have and develop. So oftentimes students that are interested in the BSW program may possess some of these skills already, okay? So communication skills, do you listen to others actively? Can you communicate well and professionally with others, not just in, speaking with each other, but also in email, right? That's a professional form of communication. How do you greet somebody in email? So one of the things I tell students is don't write, hey, and then ask your question. So, thinking about the way you communicate, but also, are you a people person? Do you have people skills, those interpersonal skills? I won't go through each of these with you, but these are the kinds of skills that you get to work on in our program in various classes. And so if you already have these skills, you'll strengthen them. And I think that that's a really great part of our program. I also highlight teamwork below because in the BSW program, there is a lot of group work. I know how students have mixed feelings about that, and I certainly did as a student as well. But when you are a social work professional, you are working in a group. You're not just working with other social workers. You're not in the silo of only social workers, but you're working interdisciplinary. So working within a group successfully is very important. So what kind of job can I get with a BSW? So that's really important, right? Because you're going to go through the program and then some folks may want to decide to go on to a graduate program, but some students may want to work first, and that's great. So with the BSW degree, you can start working after you graduate. These are some of, the things that are listed, but it's not a complete comprehensive list. Your takeaway should be that we are everywhere where people need help though, okay? So we have graduates in our BSW program, in our MSW programs who are in these kinds of settings. I'm just gonna pause for a second just to see if there are any questions out there that folks may have. You can unmute yourself or put it in the chat. Okay. So job facts. So another important thing to think about is once you've gone through your education, you have that social work credential, can I pay my bills? Can I buy my groceries? All of those things that are just really important, right? So what I've done is pulled the most recent data from the Bureau of Labor Statistics. It's the Occupational Outlook Handbook. And as of 2021, you could see that the median salary is $50,000, right? And then there's the top 10% and the bottom 10%. And the reason why I provide the median is because the top 10% is all the way at one end. That's an extreme, right? And the bottom is all the way at another end, another extreme. So it's better to get a sense of what's in the middle. What are people kind of making? And your salary will also vary on the state that you live in, right? Because cost of living is also a concern and your salary needs to be able to support that. So you could see there's quite a range there, but when you also look at in terms of the landscape of job opportunities, there are job openings that are constant with social work. So basically, social work tends to grow faster than a lot of other occupations. And then depending on your specialization, so for example, if you're interested in working with children or older adults, there might be even additional type of employment growth. So the jobs are available. I tell students, you know, you'll get a job. You just may not be working with the exact population that you want to straight out of the gate. And that's okay because you get that experience, right? So just something to think about and consider. So professional conduct is an extremely important part of the BSW program. So social workers adhere to our code of ethics, which is provided through the National Association of Social Workers. And it's our guide for ethical behavior in practice. No matter what kind of social work you do, it applies. Socialworkers.org is a really helpful website. So if you're thinking about social work, but you're not sure if it's your thing, go to this website. They have a lot of tools and information that is really helpful for you to figure out, is this what I want to pursue? Okay, it looks like there was a question, but Melissa has already answered it. So that's great. Okay. The Council on Social Work Education is the accrediting body for all social work programs. So we are an accredited program since the 70s. We're one of the oldest accredited programs. And the Council for Social Work Education provides us with different competencies that we need to train our students on so that when you graduate and hit the ground running to work or go to grad school, whatever you choose, we feel confident that you've met these competencies and are ready to roll. So, for example, one of them has to do with professionalism. One of them has to do with research-informed practice and practice-informed research. And so your classes that you take have elements of these competencies built into them, okay? Technical standards for professional and ethical behavior. So if you go to the School of Social Work website, and you look at either the BSW the BSW handbook or the field manual, you'll find an appendix that says technical standards for professional and ethical behavior. And these are our expectations that we have of our students and what we expect in terms of how they act professionally within the program. Okay, so we provide you with a guide that helps you along, not just to do your classes and get them done, but to build up your competence as a professional upon graduating. Any questions yet? Okay. And we do have our student here as well. So if you have questions for her, you can certainly unmute. She is a bevy of information. Okay, so internships. So this is how internships work in the School of Social Work. I know that they can work a little differently in other majors. So in the School of Social Work, you're admitted, yay. You take your first level of classes, that's called Tier 1 in the fall. Then you take Tier 2 in the spring. Then in your senior year, you take Tier 3. So all these classes are building on each other. And then in Tier 4, that is the capstone experience. That is your internship, or what we call a field placement. We are super, super fortunate in the School of Social Work to have a field education office. So you do not find your own field placement. These three amazing women who are here, our director, Ms. Gaskins, our assistant director, Ms. Jason Gay, and our field coordinator and instructor, Ms. Mayo, they will have you fill out an application. They'll go through an interview with you, kind of figure out, what are you interested in? What are you not interested in? What are areas where you think you need more experience? Where do you see your career going? And then they go ahead and facilitate a placement for you. Okay. So they help you with that process. I couldn't tell you the exact number, but we have hundreds and hundreds of placements across the eastern part of the state. We even have some connections moving towards more central. So these individuals really have done a lot of groundwork in making those connections for our students and facilitating that exciting process for you. These are just some examples of some of the internships. I always list police station, sheriff department, and library, because people are always like, oh, okay, that's a little different than I thought. But you got to remember, as social workers, we meet people where they're at and where people go. And so again, we're everywhere, right? We're everywhere where people need help. So those are some internship options. Student experience. So your student experience is very important, right? That's the implicit curriculum, the things that are not necessarily in your classes, but are really important to engaging you in the school and your community with each other. So we have the Bachelor of Social Work Association. We also have a chapter of the Social Work Honor Society, and we also have People Helping the Aging Community Thrive, which is focused on older adults, working with older adults. So for BSWSA, you don't have to be a BSW student. If you are a BSW, is that wrong? Am I wrong about that? Or am I right about that? I'm right. Okay. I'm looking at our student. I was like, oh no. Okay. So, if you're just interested in the social work profession, but you don't intend to apply, but you just want to help and do service, they do a lot of service. And so that's a great organization. The Honor Society, you do have to be a BSW major for that and meet certain criteria. For FACT, you just have to want to help the community with older people. And that's an interdisciplinary group. Our officers are from, I think one of them is in biology or neuroscience, and then the other one I think is in human development, family studies right now. Research opportunities. So we have faculty that have research active agendas. So some students, and you don't have to, but some students do want to gain some research experience. That was an extremely valuable part of my undergraduate education. And so that's something that our faculty take seriously, that if you're interested in research and trying it out, you could go to the School of Social Work webpage and look at the faculty. So for example, if you're interested in child welfare, you might want to talk to Dr. Kennedy or Ms. Osborne or Dr. White. If you're interested in gerontology and community, you may want to talk with me, or you may want to talk with Dr. Yang and Dr. Lee. So there are various options for you there. And community service, that's a big part of what we do. Our faculty are involved in various kinds of activities within the community. I am myself as well. And then of course, you know, through these student organizations, you can really get engaged and get those ties to the community, which, you know, you're part of the ECU community, but you're part of the greater Greenville community too, right? So I think that that's really important. I'm just checking the chat. Okay, so how far will you have to travel for your internship? And I think, was there okay. Melissa answered, Miss Watterson answered the other question. So, okay, Bridget, don't hold me to this, but I believe they can place you within a 60-mile radius max. And when you get the application and other information and at orientation, that's explained to you the details of that. But I believe it's 60 miles or less. Yeah. Sorry, I just saw your question pop up now. Other questions? These are our social media. And thanks to Ms. Craven, we have awesome social media. So check us out on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. There's another, oh, and Ms. Craven posted something. It looks like the internship placements map. So if you go into the chat and open up that, my guess is it's a picture, you'll be able to see where students have been placed. That's very helpful. I haven't seen that. Thank you for sharing that. Okay, so how do I even apply? So you're interested in the social work program, but how do I even start that process? So if you are interested in the social work program, first and foremost, you're going to want to get up with Miss Watterson. Okay. She is your BSW academic advisor. She knows all, and we work very closely together. So if she has questions or I have questions, we have an open line of communication. Yes, she said BSW BFFs. That is very, very true. So you're going to want to meet with her and let her know what your plans are. Okay. Now, if you are currently at ECU as a student, you're going to want to submit your application, which has now passed, by February 15th of your sophomore year. Okay. Now, if you're a transfer student, either internally with an ECU, like you've changed your major, or maybe you're transferring from a community college or another university or institution, then we just need to get your application no later than June 30th. Okay, so for those of you who might be transferring, there's still time there. Okay, so I didn't mean to scare you with the February 15th deadline, excuse me. But I would say, with any kind of application, it's always easier or better to get it in earlier if you can. You can wait until June 30th, but just get it in earlier if possible, okay? Now, you have to have 32 credits, a minimum 2.5 GPA, and a completed social work 1010 and social work 2010. So now if you are transferring in to ECU from another university, school, institution, college, you need to establish an ECU GPA. So what that might mean is that you need to take a class over the summer. Or if you haven't taken our required courses, Social Work 1010 and Social Work 2010, you may have to take those over the summer. So you could potentially be, what is it called? It's like a contingent acceptance. So you could be accepted to the program contingent upon that you have a minimum 2.5 ECU GPA and that you have a combined 2.5 between 1010 and 2010. So for example, you can't get C's in both classes, right? You would have to get at least a B in one and a C in one. People generally who are interested in social work do really well in these classes. These are offered in the summer. This summer, 1010 will be offered summer session 1, 2010 summer session 2, and they are online. So if you like the online setting that they're offered online. One tip I always give is to follow all application instructions closely. So part of the application includes a personal statement. So we ask you to complete certain questions. Make sure that you complete every question. Another tip would be have somebody read it for grammar, typos, things like that. That is always really helpful too, because you want the person who's going to be reviewing it to pick it up and completely understand what you're saying. And that's common practice, right? Like in academia, faculty, we have a teammate or a colleague sometimes read our manuscripts, right? To make sure that whatever audience reviews it, they're going to get what we're saying. So I strongly suggest that you do that and make sure that you follow the instructions. I think, yes.
Just a little to piggyback off that, if you are currently going to be transferring in for the summer, I think that you should have received an email from me. So Bridget and Danielle, that will be us kind of like setting up an advising meeting before your time to register for summer classes. So you register for fall and summer at the same time. And so during that advising meeting, that's when we'll talk about, what is transferred in, making sure your credits are all in the system, and then trying to fit, your summer classes in so you can establish that GPA. But that's also a great time for us to talk about the application as well during that meeting and just kind of go over it with you. And that way, if you have any additional questions or anything I can answer at that time, that's a wonderful opportunity. And of course, always through email. So if you leave an advising meeting with me and you forget to ask something, or if you have a follow-up question, you can just send a quick email, or you can schedule another appointment.
Thank you for that. I was going to say, I know I'm missing a ton of the whole procedural piece there. So thank you for that. And I know we have a hand up. There's a hand up for a question.
Yes, and I'm just here as support for Miss Bridget Smith Butler. And as Ms. just stated, she's going to be our new social work BFF. And she's nice with getting us the link to get in tonight. So thank you again, Ms. Waterson, for doing that for us today. I do have a quick question in terms of the transfer piece, because Ms. Bridget, she has her 1010 and her 2010, but she wouldn't have that established GPA. And I think she's going to be a little apprehensive about going in the summer. So, and she's really completed all her requirements for the School of Social Work in terms of the transfer piece. What classes would she be eligible to take in the fall if she decides not to come in the summer, since she wouldn't have that 2.5 GPA?
So that's a really good question. And this is just kind of for a broad, overview. A lot of students are really hesitant to transfer in over the summer, especially if they have prior obligations or things like that. What I have seen, and this is not to pressure you either way, what I have seen is that it's a lot easier for a student to transfer in over the summer and take one class than transfer in the fall semester and take anywhere between 12 to 15 credit hours and just get completely overwhelmed. Even if that course is an online course, you are adapting to ECU Canvas, you're adapting to how to connect with your professors, you're building those connections within the programs and other students. So there really is a big benefit to go ahead and consider, transferring in over the summer, even if it is one course. I will say for the social work program, you may have met all of the general education requirements, but there are still going to be requirements such as social work electives that students need to take, as well as certain psychology courses. They're called sociology cognates, also with sociology and psychology cognates. So those are going to be requirements. So there would not be an opportunity for a missed class that would go to waste over the summer, we could even think about doing a minor and fitting something in that way to be beneficial. The one thing that I would not want a student to do would be to miss out on the opportunity to apply because they did not want to pursue summer classes. And I say that because the program is a set 2 years. So that means that, you know, if the student is eligible and would be ready to apply in the summer with that established 2.5 GPA by one course or 2 courses, you would have to wait an entire year, which would push back your core tier courses for 2 years. But that is just, you know, whatever option you want to explore, whatever pathway you want, that's, you know, not going to hinder you at all if it's what you want to do. So if you feel better about just starting in the fall, we can definitely have a plan together for that. If you feel better about starting over the summer, we will have a plan for that.
Great selling point, and I hope Bridget is sold as well.
And there have been times, I'm not saying that this will happen, but if you do get overwhelmed, there's always an opportunity to just withdraw from a course. That's not what we want to see. But if you feel like it is getting too much, and I know we all would much rather see you take care of yourself, have a W on your transcript than a D or an F, because that's just going to be very stressful for you moving forward, and we don't want that. So as long as you're staying in communication about, you know, starting and then kind of where you are throughout the process, that'll give us a better understanding of how to help you.
Okay, and one final thing on that, even if she applied for fall admissions, would she be able to come in the summer considering she applied for fall admissions to the university?
So that, so if you so let's say a student, so Bridget, if you have applied for fall to come in as a fall student, what we would do is just work with ECU admissions to get your like your start date and your application for summer. So we would just move that to the summer as well. And there would be no additional fee for that. It would just be the ECU admissions office going through like the logistics of moving your term to the summer. But we would need to know that, of course.
Thank you.
Yes, one of our students. You want to introduce yourself since you guys didn't get to introduce yourself?
Yes, sure. I'm Shia. I'm a senior with BSW or in the BSW program. I was just gonna say that personally, I've taken summer classes every year, not necessarily because I've had to, but simply because during the school year, when you have those electives and those general education courses that you have to take, it can overwhelm you. And so if you can find a way to get yourself to that 12, that full-time minimum, in any way, then I would do that as well. So that when you do get further up inside the program, all you have to take is your research, your writing, your practice, those classes that you have to take, and the electives and stuff are done. And not only that, but if you get financial aid, it might be something to look forward to, because you know financial aid will cover your if you do get full Pell Grant and everything like that, it will cover your classes, and usually they give you a little bit more than you kind of need. So you can look forward to that as well for your summer class. So.
It's a really excellent point. Yeah. Yeah. Because we don't want our students, you know, I think Miss Watterson said it well. We want you to do well in your classes, but we also are in the business of having students who are successful, right? Academically, professionally, self-care, all of those things. And so, you know, that's where you can also really work with Miss Watterson to figure out what is the best plan for you. And you've even done backup plans too, Miss Watterson. She's like I said, she knows all the things. So yeah, but that's great input as well from a student, which is, I think, you know, very valuable to hear from the students who are actually living the program right now. There's another, okay. All right. So it looks like Ms. Watterson, you answered Danielle's question. Okay. All right. So Okay, just a friendly reminder to some and an update to others. March is Social Work Month, and this year the theme is Social Work Breaks Barriers. Again, a shout out to the socialworkers.org website where you can learn more about this theme and things that will be going on related to the theme, and also more about the social work profession. This is Ms. Watterson's contact information. Oh, I put her name twice, so it says, so sorry about that typo. Speaking of looking at your applications closely and no typos, here I am with this presentation, and that's my contact information. If you have questions, concerns related to admissions, the application process, advising, Ms. Watterson is your person. If you have questions about the social work profession, she can discuss that as well. I'm also available to you. So feel free to call, email me. I'm not always working in my office, but if you leave me a voicemail, it will go to my email. So, you know, you just make sure that you leave a message. What I'm going to do is at this point, that's the end of the talk. So I'm going to stop so I could see everybody's faces. Great. And see if there's more questions. Maybe our other student can introduce themselves to the crew here.
Hi, I'm Peyton. I'm a junior in the BSW program. Yeah. Sorry, I came in a little late because I got off work, so I'm a little exhausted.
That's okay, you're here.
So while you guys are thinking about like questions or whatever it may be, I wanted to also kind of take the opportunity because we have some transfers on the line, we have some prospective students, we have a whole variety of people who are coming in at different stages or maybe even just exploring the profession. So I was going to ask our two lovely ambassadors kind of why you wanted to get involved in social work, like what made you pursue that profession, as well as tell us a little bit about what you're involved in on campus.
Okay.
Okay, first.
Mm.
Hey, you want to go first?
Sure. So I chose social work. A little bit of backstory about me, I'm adopted and I struggled with that growing up. So I began therapy, and through therapy, it really like helped me discover, you know, like my passions about myself, kind of like my purpose in a way. So I then kind of realized like I want to advocate for others and help others. And I think social work is the perfect major to do so. Because I'm still thinking about law school. Like I've been thinking about that a lot recently, and you know, you can have, I think social work is a great bachelor's to have to move on to something like that. So that's really why I chose social work. And then stuff I'm involved in on campus, I am a resident advisor here on ECU's campus, so I know a lot about ECU. And then I'm also an HHP ambassador. So I mean, we do all kinds of stuff, student involvement, engagement, on that end, but yeah, that's pretty much what I'm doing right now.
And she has the ability to work.
I do.
So you know, there's definitely some like life school balance. And then this one over here, she volunteers so much, I get tired listening to her talk about how much she's volunteering. So Shai, you want to tell them a little bit about you and why what you're involved in?
For sure. I decided originally I thought I wanted to be a biology major. Biology, I was crying in class, y'all. Not because it was hard, but simply because it didn't feel right. It didn't feel like that's where I belong. Like I didn't feel like I was amongst my people. And so I transferred, or I went to my advisor and she gave me a career cluster plan, and social work popped up, therapist popped up, counselor popped up, like all these things popped up. And I knew about a teacher popped up, like I knew about all of these jobs except for social worker. And so I was like, let me do some more research about what a social work does, because as we all know, I thought social work is just taking people's kids. And I was like, I don't want to take nobody's kid. I've seen the movies. I won't be that person. And so once I did research and I saw how many jobs and how many opportunities I could have with a social work degree, that kind of sold me, because I'm one of those type of people that kind of get bored, and I want to continue to grow, and I want to be able to take what I already have and be able to do something else. Like I want to be able to say, okay, I've done this. I've fulfilled my desire here. I want to keep going somewhere else, but I don't necessarily want to start back at zero just because I want to do something else. And so when I found out that social work was the best foundation to have to do something like that, I ran with it for sure. On campus, I'm involved in a lot. Like she said, I was also a resident advisor my sophomore year. That was not for me. I worked like for campus living a lot of places. I worked in the NSO office. I've done a little bit of, I work in the student center right now in the CLCE office, which is civic and leadership engagement. And so there I'm a part of the Pirates Give team where we create service opportunities for students to either become better leaders, to be more civically involved, or simply to serve the community. I am an ambassador for sure. I've done a lot. I've been at a Chancellor's Leadership Academy to help me figure out how to become a better leader. I'm part of a program called ECU Leads, which is also about leadership and things like that. I've been on several like alternative break experience trips where it's basically like service learning. Come May, hopefully I'll be able to go to Jamaica. We'll be service learning there, like living with an actual Jamaican family, like really immersing ourselves in that culture and just giving back and serving and being a part of some of the projects they already have going on there, dealing with, you know, social injustice and things like that. And so as I've been here, I really just tried to immerse myself into service and giving back, since our motto here is to severe. It's severe, like serve. So I really wanted to like give back and serve. I've completed over 100 service hours since I've been here, and I just try to keep it going and keep it pushing as much as I can. I'm currently in my internship, which is a nonprofit called Building Hope, which deals with like after school and suspension. So trying to keep those kids from going like the school to prison pipeline, trying to keep them from being suspended in school and ended up in more negative situations like prison. And so we deal with that. And it's been awesome. And I hope y'all come and be a part of our community as social workers.
That deserves a round of applause.
I told you guys, you're gonna be tired from just listening to her. But we're so proud of her. We're proud of Katie too. And honestly, like we just have some incredible social work students, which also is another, even outside of going to school, we have some incredible alumni and they are constantly sending me jobs to share. I swear I get like at least 2 a day, maybe more, some whatever it may be. But we have a extensive alumni network and we have a kind of a motto here of like pirates supporting pirates, pirates helping pirates. And that definitely translates into the post-grad atmosphere as well. So that's really cool to see. And then I also, you know, I know about social work from working here a lot as well, but there's endless opportunities. And kind of one cool thing that I saw recently from one of our alumni, she got her undergrad and her master's here and she worked in the field for a really long time, but now she works at Facebook doing user experience and doing like social and tech equity. And so it's just like, that's not even an industry that I would have thought social work would be in, but alas, here we are.
We're everywhere.
Yeah, so it's everywhere. So all that to say, there's a lot of really cool opportunities with social work, a lot of cool opportunities with our alumni. So yeah, that's just a little spiel for you. But
and one of the best parts about being a social worker is that we're not one of the professions that gatekeep. Like we literally want to help everybody like thrive and be great, which is what I love. Like other professions, I feel like, you know, it's, oh, I found opportunities for me, so let me snatch onto them and let me hold on to them. With our community being so close and tight knit, it's like we want to see everybody thrive, and with that, and it's like so community, family based, even if you don't really know the people. So
Resource.
yeah,
Yeah, it's a pretty small world, right? I mean, I think, you know, our program's been around for a really long time and it's a well-respected program. We get asked sometimes, and I can't speak to this as strongly as the field office could because that's what they do, but we will get asked again and again for BSW interns, and leveraging those connections of people that you know, who knows somebody else. You know, I think that's important following graduation, but also part of the learning process as you're meeting people throughout your education. And really, there's a lot of opportunities to take advantage of at ECU as a whole. I think that that's a really important part of your college experience is being engaged in those student organizations, whether it be BSWSA or something else. So yeah, we have two great examples of students here tonight who can really speak to that. So I appreciate you both for doing that.
For sure.
Thank you.
So what questions do we have? Any? Don't be shy.
Anything.
Could literally be about like where to live on campus, or whatever.
Where not to live.
Where not to live.
I actually have a question.
Okay.
Oh, sorry.
I was wondering, I know like plugged to my sister, she works in the tutoring center.
Mhm.
So I did want to like kind of bring that up with the concern about the summer class. But my question related to that is are there a good amount of student tutors within the social work field? Like, since you kind of have to take like all your classes like in groups, like could you like maybe get like one tutor for like all of your classes? Like, how would that work?
So I can speak to a little, just like the smallest amount of that, Danielle.
Okay.
So, for example, are you talking about the Pirate Academic Success Center?
Yes, ma'am.
So I actually recently contacted them because I wanted to know if they provided a certain type of support for students. And we currently have an MSW student there and a BSW student, if I'm remembering correctly, or that could have been at the Writing Center, but I know that they have representation. I believe that they have representation. In terms of the way having a tutor for the whole of your education, I can't speak to that. I don't know how that would work. I don't know if others are aware of that. It looks like maybe Peyton, did you have a thought?
Yes, I was just gonna say, like, through the whole program, especially being a junior, it's like my first year actually in the program. You really become close with everyone in it because there's about like 20 to 30 people per class for me. So we all honestly kind of work together. There's also a lot of like group projects and our professors, I mean, like I can literally go to them for anything, even if I need like therapy. So it's like, yeah, I don't think there'd be like any issue trying to like find help because everyone Shania said, everyone just wants to help everybody.
For sure. I agree. Because everybody's you're all gonna be doing the same work and especially when you're in the same year. So like if me and her were both juniors, we would be doing the same work regardless of who we had the same professor or not. They really try to stay on one accord as far as what they're doing in the program. And not only that, but because we have competencies to follow, it's certain stuff that we have to do regardless. And so I would say the best resource is going to be each other as far as your program. You're going to see the same people every year, like especially after you get out of those two beginner, the 1010 and 2010, the faces are going to be the same every year. You're going to see maybe one or two, a handful of new faces, but for the most part it's going to start being weird in the sense that y'all going to know each other's names. It's like that's really how it is. Like even now with me being in my internship and us only having one class, when we all get out, even though we're in different buildings, we'll all get out and come down the steps and we'll be like, it's like we know each other now. So I would definitely say your biggest resource is going to be each other for sure.
Yeah, and I would absolutely, and we encourage that and we make you do group work, like I said before. But for the Pirate Academic Success Center, Ms. Watterson put the link in there. I know that they are available and ready and willing to work with our students, as is the Writing Center, at any point of where you are in an assignment. I know the Academic Success Center also works with things related to time management. So if you have a lot of different assignments happening around the same time period, how do you work that out, right? And then how do you actually start to develop that? So you might pursue the Academic Success Center and the Writing Center, right? I'm not aware of any limit. Like, I don't think that there's a limit that they impose that you can use them as resources. You pay student fees. And I always say to students, use your resources, right? You're paying for them. So I think that partially answers your question, Danielle, but it might warrant kind of a shout out to the Academic Success Center to see, is it possible to have someone consistently, or the same person or two people?
I
I
would
hope
also like
that's
to add that like, our program is not heavy on like multiple choice testing, if that might be what you're worried about. We do a lot of like social work is writing, it's all about documentation and having a paper trail. And so if you're worried about like taking tests and like getting help in that sense, I wouldn't worry too much about that. As far as like, since I got in the program, I could probably count on one hand how many like AB, like multiple choice tests I've actually taken. It's mostly essays and like things like that.
Not in a
Were you
daunting way.
Yeah.
Were you going to say something else, Danielle?
I think I'm good. I think somebody else had a question. There was a hand raised or
Was
something.
it
I'll kind
Angelica?
of take a step back.
Yes, it was me.
Hi.
Hi. So I'm an early college student at LCC, and those required courses that are like required to apply aren't available at LCC. So would I have to take them in the summer to start this program as a freshman?
You want to take that, Ms. Watterson?
So that's going to depend on your path. So if you are planning to start the social work program in the fall, then yes. However, if you are just planning on transferring into ECU as an incoming sophomore with less than 32 credit hours, then you would not want to go ahead and do summer and apply. So that's going to be kind of like your pathway. So if you do have questions specifically about that, then you can email me. Again, it's just going to depend on what your plans are looking for the fall.
Okay, thank you so much.
Any other questions? Going once, going twice. And obviously we're all accessible via email and meetings and whatever it may be. But I did want to kind of, before we hopped off for the night, I kind of want to go through some deadlines that are upcoming. So if you are a prospective student who is going to start in the fall as a freshman, a reminder to get your deposit into the university saying, hey, I'm coming for sure, like you can count me there. That is by May 1st. If you are an incoming freshman and have gotten that deposit to ECU in, you can start registering April 24th. You'll receive information from Ms. Watterson about that as well. Again, that is for incoming freshmen, but you do have to have your deposit and registered for summer orientation before you can enroll or register for classes. And then if you are a prospective transfer student and you want to start in summer 2023, your application for transferring to ECU is April 24th. If you are a transfer student who wants to start fall 2023, your deadline is July 3rd. Any questions on those? I think I've hit on everything. So if you guys don't have any more questions, I'm going to stop recording. So I want to thank you all for coming. We'll probably all stay on the line just a little bit if you have tailored questions or individual questions specific to you. But if not, thank you all for joining. We really appreciate it. And you will be hearing from us tomorrow, kind of with like some reminders and then the link to the recording as well. So thank you all.
Thank you for being here. Whatever path you choose to take,